Silver stackers may not make up a high percentage of the population, but the opinions for and against silver are many. So for those of us who do love our silver, how much should we actually own? Well, we're going to talk about some of the negative connotations against silver and a little bit about how much we own as a group. So stay tuned. Hey YouTube, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of the Silver and Gold Stack Attack. As always, I hope you're doing well, and I'd like to thank you for being here today to check out the new video. The amazing support has been appreciated so much more than you know. And you already know what line comes next. Best damn community on YouTube. You're the best. I've been off for a little bit, haven't done a video in a week. Just catching up on some beach time, some much needed beach time. So finally back into the swing of things. Got one more trip planned this coming week up to Virginia Beach. Gonna hang out with Patriotic Stacker and My Silver Journey, and maybe even Chuck Stacks if he makes it up there. So one more beach weekend at least. But today we're going to talk a little bit about some of the negativity against silver. And for those of us who do believe in it, a little bit about how much we own. Let's go ahead and roll it.
Yeah, baby! Yeah.
Alright, first off, I do want to reiterate my personal stance on silver, and this is just me. Your views might be completely different. But for me, I don't look at my silver as an investment because it's not a commodity that provides solid returns within a reasonable amount of time. We all know it's a long hold for the most part. Now, if you want an investment that has better and, well, let's face it, quicker returns, well, stock, real estate, and even crypto at times would be your better bet. I don't stack silver and gold for profit. I do it for the eventual return of something tangible years from now. Silver's just not one of my investments. It's one of my financial securities. But it's fine if you look at silver as an investment. But we all just keep in mind that it doesn't perform as well as other investment options. So let's talk about the negative views of silver really quickly. You'll hear all kinds of stuff out there from all walks, such as those who FOMO'd and bought high, people who listen to influencers, promising that silver is going to moon in the present year. No names. Apparently those people have defenders, ardent defenders at that. That's your choice. Sorry, I just had to throw that in there. And then you have others that just flat out don't know anything about silver and just go by what they hear. Let's go over some of the most popular negatives against silver. Alright, first off, no passive income. Now, we just talked a little bit about this. Unlike stocks that pay dividends, silver doesn't generate passive income. The return on investment really only hinges upon its appreciation in value. An exception to that might be some rare numismatic or collector silver coins that are much quicker to appreciate in value than, well, standard silver bullion. But again, if you're dropping money into silver in the hopes of shorting it, like a stock for a quick buck, you're looking at it all wrong. I mean, could money be made? Sure. We recently saw silver eagles being sold in the $27, $28 range. And if you bought a few tubes at that price, and eagles creep back up in premiums here in the next few weeks, months, well, you could turn those for a pretty decent profit if you bought enough tubes to sell and make it worthwhile. Next up is price volatility. Silver is famous for mood and price swings, and that might be a bit more than casual stackers can handle. They might look at it as just too much of a risk. Next, liquidity. Hey, we all know we can liquidate our silver. That's not a problem. It's highly liquid. But there are potential issues for when we sell, like capital gains taxes and whatnot. Also, selling large amounts of silver can be well, a hair-raising endeavor between transporting it all and keeping an eye on tax thresholds as you kind of piecemeal it out to your buyer. It's definitely not as easy as unloading a stock where you go on your laptop, make a few clicks, broker takes care of the rest of it. Easy peasy. In a nutshell, it's a pain to liquidate large amounts of silver, but ironically, that does lead to a really nice positive point in the process. And here it is. Since it is a bit of work to sell large lots of silver, that kind of works as a deterrent to spending it as well. Hey, we all know dollars are easy to spend, whether it's in cash in our pocket or on a debit or credit card. It's easy. Silver, that's going to take a little bit more work. And lastly, silver, at least in comparison to gold, takes up a ton of space. And if you subscribe to the theory of if you don't hold it, you don't own it, well, you're going to need a great safe, and it's probably going to be a big one, to keep it all at home. And they're not cheap. They're not cheap. I know most of you have priced them. You know. And don't think that bank safe deposit boxes are the answer, or random companies storing your metals for you. We could go on for days about the horror stories that have occurred with those storage options. So they're best to avoid it. But again, Popular theory is if you don't hold it, you don't own it. All right, we've covered the negatives, so what about those positives? Look, we all know there are plenty of them, but in consideration of time management, we're not going to expound on them. If you're here and you're a silver stacker, you already know the benefits of precious metals. But if we had to summarize silver, we can all generally agree that it's an affordable store of wealth, a great entry-level precious metal, and that it's going to maintain its value much better than the dollar over time. And also, stacking silver has the added benefit of changing the mindset of some who get into it, as they completely change the way they view their disposable income and what they're buying with it, right? I'm sure a lot of you have paid an expensive house or car repair and thought, damn, I could have bought X ounces of silver and gold with that. All right, moving on. I set up a poll about how much silver you own a couple of days ago, and I just wanted to thank everyone who contributed with their answers. They were anonymous. I have no idea who said what. And it was great to get a small snapshot of how our group here is stacking. Now, that said, I did get a couple of comments accusing me of being an IRS agent.
Right.
Which, looking back at the poll now, I can definitely see where the question pried a bit too much. So my apologies for that. But anyway, let's take a really quick look at those results. And here they are. This pretty much panned out the way I thought it would. 10 to 100 ounces was 27% of our group, or at least the respondents. 100 to 350 was the money spot. That was the money spot right there. 100 to 350 ounces, 31% of you fall into that group. Only 15% carry 350 to 500 ounces. 7% are in the 500 to 750 range. So that was the least of them all. And a whopping 20% of you are carrying 750 plus ounces. That's awesome. So thanks again for everybody who contributed to the poll. I promise your answers are not seen by me. I have no idea what you picked. So thank you. I appreciate it. You guys once again contributed to a video. So let's go over the final question, and that is, how much silver should you own? The money shot right there. To be honest, folks, there are way too many factors for there to be one set answer to that. Everybody stacks differently. Everybody has different levels of income, and everybody has different levels of disposable income and risk tolerance. But if you're going to ascertain how much silver you should own, you need to ask yourself these two things. Number one, why you're stacking to begin with. And number two, do you understand your own risk tolerance? For me, it was a way to save for the future, since it kind of reduced the disposable income that I was spending on things that really weren't needed and weren't going to provide any kind of return in the future. Now, do I still buy quote-unquote stuff? Yeah, sure I do, but not without stacking metals in mind. Then I consider the priorities of buying both the object or stacking more metals. And that's kind of the mentality that hits us when we get big time into stacking. Some would call it a sickness. My wife worries about me, but I like to refer to it as common sense saving. I don't deprive myself of stuff. I just buy less of it. Precious metals pretty much honed my ability to discipline myself financially. Anyway, all that said, my initial goal was to figure out 6 months. 6 months of my total living expenses and equate that into my silver ounces goal by spot price. And once I passed that goal a little bit later, I just went ahead and modified it to the next level. All right, a little tip for beginners. Now that you have a goal in mind, you need to consider the following. Before you get heavily into metals, you need to have a cash reserve emergency fund of maybe 3 to 6 months of living expenses so you can deal with unexpected emergencies like a loss of a job, expensive house or car repairs, etc. The last thing you want to do is have to sell any of your stack after all the hard work you've put into it. And it's also a bad idea to put those surprise expenses on a high interest rate credit card, because you're going to have to put a lot of money back into the card just to avoid getting slammed with interest. I mean, what good is stacking if you're playing catch up with credit card debt when you're only paying back the minimum amount each month? It doesn't work. That's not going to work. Now, quite a few stackers, myself included, have adopted the dollar cost average theory, where you're buying a set amount of metals with your disposable income left after your bills are paid. And you pick up metals weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, whatever the case is. And when silver price fluctuates and falls and goes up or down, you'll be left with an average of what you paid for it all when the dips and rises are accounted for. Also, you don't want to exceed your disposable income to pay for metals, unless you've just got a deal out there that you have to have. Whether you're buying an ounce of silver or 20 ounces plus, try to stay within your means. This is vital, guys. I just did a video on the peer pressures of stacking, and one of the messages within that video was to be proud of what you can stack, no matter how much it is, and know that you're staying one step ahead of where our economy is leading us in the very near future. Don't worry about what Joe Blow is spending on silver, and don't try to keep up with him. Everybody's finances, again, are different. Stick to your own plan. Add metals as you can if that's your choice. Folks, there's really no wrong way to stack silver, unless you're buying irresponsibly. Really quickly, let's go back to those goals. You want to set obtainable goals. Don't set the standard so high that you can't meet it. Humanity kind of thrives on reachable goals. It creates a sense of accomplishment, and then we go on to the next. It kind of spurs you on. But don't start stacking and say you're going to go for 1,000 ounces in 6 months or whatever, unless you financially can do that. Set goals that you can meet within a reasonable time frame. And when you do this, you can reevaluate how your plan is working and make adjustments to either increase or decrease how much silver you buy. Look, situations change for all of us, sometimes financially. We could get hit with a huge medical expense or some other major emergency, and that might take a huge chunk out of what we can spend weekly or monthly. And if you're putting out more money to pay bills, it just doesn't make any sense to continue at the pace you were going before when that emergency bill didn't exist. You have to adjust. Or on a positive note, maybe you got a raise at work and now you can afford to stack more than you were before. Either case, just stick to the plan and keep to those goals. You made them for a reason.
Gentlemen, I have a plan.
All right, so after all that, we still have one last thing to consider, folks. That's right, the end game, because it's also important. The exit strategy. Doing all that we're doing just to cash in for dollars might not be the most prudent way to get out in the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years, whenever you're ready to do it. We've already seen how the economy's going. We've seen how the dollar's losing value. You have to have an exit strategy keeping that stuff in mind. And that's why I'm staring real estate right in the eyes when it's my time. I want something tangible for all the hard work I put in. And the idea of having my own lot out in the mountains somewhere in western North Carolina, got a fishing line and a trout stream and a cigar and a beer, sunset, yeah, that's tangible. I can see it, I can dream it, I believe it's going to happen. So that's the plan. Anyway, be sure to leave a comment down below and let me know your thoughts. I do love reading them all, and I try to respond to each one. Even if I've been accused of being a freaking IRS agent, I promise you I'm not. But believe what you will, tinfoil hats are on aisle 10. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Silver and Gold Stack Attack. And if you made it this far, well, kudos to you. I'll definitely catch up with you in the next episode. But in the meantime, this guy's got something to say.
What do you want to do with your life?
Damn right. Get stacked. Stay safe and be well, everyone. I am out of here. Peace, folks.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.